What's up, everybody? This is TJ McKinley and TJ McKinley Podcast. We say what we want, how we want, whatever we want. I got a special guest on today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
What's up, guys? I'm Ernest Silva with Into the Lab Podcast. Excited to be on here, TJ. How's it going, my man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Living the dream, brother. Living the dream, day by day.
Well, Ernest, if you don't know, every video, I let my guests come on and do an ether segment, 5-10 minutes. Get anything out, anything you want to get off your chest, anything. So, what you want to get off your chest?
And the Cowboys sucked this week, so depression mode. I don't say the line. I'm not a crazy Cowboys fan, but man, they were terrible this week. Hook 'em because Texas Longhorns, and that's all I got to say. Best team in the country. And I am so tired of hearing about politics. I just want the election to be over. Amen.
So if the Texans and the Cowboys was in the Super Bowl, because you know they're in two different divisions, two different sides, who would you go for?
The Cowboys. Yeah, I would. I absolutely would.
You repping Texas all day. All right, man, let's go. That's what you got to get off your chest?
That's it, man. That's all I got.
All right, man. Yeah, we going to see how the election goes. Allegedly. I got to say allegedly because YouTube be blocking videos. Okay, let's start off, man. So, let's start off with some NBA talk because I know you an NBA analyst. I like to switch it up with different guests. Let's talk about the LeBron and Bronny controversy. What's your take on Bronny and LeBron? How you think they're going to do as a father-son duo this season?
I think it's going to be interesting, man. I don't know how much time Bronny's going to actually spend in the NBA this year. I think it's going to be a lot of time in the G League. I think it's going to be a lot of time developing. I think they might play like close to 10 games together. And if he actually does perform, maybe a little bit more. But it's going to be fun. I think it's a lot of hoopla. I think I don't know if Bronny necessarily belongs on the court right now. I think he's a terrific player. I think he is going to be a great 3-and-D player at the end of his career, but I don't know if he was quite ready. A couple more years in college basketball probably would have done him a lot of good, but I don't know if LeBron has a couple more years at an elite level, and I think LeBron wants to leave at an elite level. So I think this kind of just timeline's conflicted. I think his brother's actually much better. So there's a hot take.
Man, I wish I was in the house. I gotta be in the middle. Yeah, I believe Bronny brother a little better. So do you believe because Bronny not the only NBA, I guess, son in the league, the next generation. So do you believe people are coming behind Bronny like Carmelo Anthony's son? Do you believe he's going to have problems coming into the league if Bronny don't become all-time great like his dad?
No, not quite. It's different when you're the son of what some people call the GOAT of basketball, right? And Scottie Pippen Jr.'s in the league, right? Ron Harper's son's coming up. You have a lot of next generation talent. Carlos Booster's son. I watched all these guys in the McDonald's All-American game that's in Houston every year. I mean, they're all fantastic players, and they all have their own special, unique quirks about them. Hybrid games from what their fathers were, sometimes mothers too. You look at Reed Shepherd. I think that the reason there's so much story here is the same reason why Michael Jordan's sons would have gotten the same coverage, right? If they would have come in the league and done something. So that's why. It's just because he's the son of what arguably some call the GOAT.
So you believe you think it was nepotism that got Bronny in the league? I believe it was, but what you think?
I think it's 50-50. I think he's a better basketball player than me, right? So I can't talk any shit. Like he's terrific. It's hard, especially under pressure, right? Like we put ourselves in daily pressures and we 50-50 shot, we make it, right? For him, he's got to go in front of everybody and prove he belongs. And he's got to prove he's not, an invalid in basketball compared to his dad. Like that's the toughest thing right there is just to perform. So I'm sure the pressure's off to start the year. I'm sure his dad's going to say, hey, get on the court. Let's just play basketball. And if he's playing rotation minutes come playoff time for the Lakers, if they're in the playoffs, then we'll have to see what that looks like, what he looks like at that point, and if he medically can stay in shape and healthy to play with his dad.
So, what you got? What's your predictions on the Lakers this season? We ain't gonna do too much talk about the Lakers because we not ESPN and all that. So, what's your prediction? Like, playoff or bust?
I think it's bust. I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I think there's too many teams in the West that are good. Unless there's some movement where LeBron and his son get traded to Golden State or something like that. I don't think LeBron's in the playoffs this year.
All right, well, that's enough for Lakers talk. Like I said, we not ESPN, Moving on, let's say another big time market, Boston Celtics. I'm not a Boston fan at all. Do I believe they're gonna make the Eastern Conference Finals? At least, yes. So, how do you feel Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum about to come out this season?
There's probably going to be a chip. I think Tatum comes out with a chip on his shoulder from the Team USA summer that he had. I think Jaylen Brown has a bigger chip on his shoulder from being spurned off Team USA. And I think there's a little bit of hate when it comes to some of the Celtics players just in general. Derek White, I didn't think belonged on Team USA. I think they needed him out of necessity from a ball handler perspective and a role player. But then you have, guys like Jaylen Brown who don't get that off, right? And Damian Lillard. So I think the Celtics will come back. They're a little bit older, right? You have some players that are getting up there in age. You got to hope you get carried by your big three that you have there with White, Tatum, and Brown, and then hope your bigs can stay healthy. And that you make some of your younger players develop a little bit more. There's not a lot of money there in Boston, so what they do through the season is probably going to be very minimal, and then hope they make a run it back with the team they have from last year.
You think Steve Kerr? Let's go by each player. Let's start with Jason Tatum. You think Steve Kerr did him quote dirty in the Olympics?
No, I don't. I think Tatum was the right piece to leave out of the rotation. Once KD came back, there was really no time there. It's all about how you're going to spread the wealth of minutes across so many great players. And he was playing 13 deep, right? Like, I don't know how he pulled off those rotations with 13 deep with that team because there's not a lot of minutes in FIBA, right? And you had LeBron James, Steph Curry, KD kind of steal the show, take massive minutes. Had they played a little bit more to their ages and maybe down a little bit on their level from talent, then you might have seen more Halliburton and Embiid and Tatum in some of those other games that they could have made an impact. But we got the gold. That's all that matters. You played the right rotation because you won. That's all that matters to me.
You believe the media is trying to split up? We're going to get to Jaylen Brown next, but in the middle, you think the media is trying to split up Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum?
I think we live for drama in the NBA. I like the drama in the NBA. A lot of the back and forth banter and issues and who's doing what and who said that about who and who's going to go pair up and play. And I think Harden's like the best player for dramatics and issues. Harden and Westbrook, right? But Jaylen Brown is no stranger to the stories of media. He comes back with a lot of stories constantly, whether it's finals performances, whether it's off-season antics, whether it's playoff performances, not being able to dribble to the left. I've seen this guy be talked about MVP and then talk about how he can't use half the court because he can't dribble to his left. There's no bigger guy that's a better story other than your LeBrons and Steph Curry's out there. Jaylen Brown's probably right underneath that tier with Damian Lillard and a couple others, Giannis, that like the storyline. So I don't think the media is trying to break them up, but I think the media loves drama. And so you feed the NBA fan base with drama, and I think that's a good place to do it for the Celtics. So what else are you going to pick on? They're a fantastic team.
You think Jaylen Brown, you think he was snubbed? I keep putting up the rabbit. He was snubbed from the Olympics.
Yeah, I think he was snubbed. I think he should have been on that team.
Okay. So
yeah, I do.
No, keep going.
I was just gonna say I really do. I think he was better than maybe 3 or 4 guys. I know some people may comment and say, "Well, name them." Just to name 2, Halliburton and White, right? Like he was better than both of those guys. I think Jaylen Brown is the best player on the best team in the world, and you should include him on that.
Sure. Well, if y'all don't know, this is a Texas boy all day long. So let's start with your
All day
Houston. Let's start with your Houston Rockets. Go ahead, give me the whole team breakdown, team management, GM, just go all in, man.
Sure. I'll do Cliff Notes version because I could go all day on the Rockets. We'd be on here till 8-9 p.m. Central Time. But it's true. I'm a Rockets fan and analyst through and through. I absolutely follow the team. I'm in all the inside circles. I love Houston Rockets basketball. It's how I grew up. It's what I live by. But right now, Raphael Stone is the GM. He's been doing a tremendous job since Daryl Morey left. Big shoes to fill, but I feel like he's coming to his own. Right now, the team's young core is massive. You've got groups of guys that are very, very talented who just lack playoff experience, but I think that changes after this year. And we brought in some veterans to kind of pulse the group. High level, Jalen Green is arguably the highest ceiling we have on this team. Between him and Alperen Şengün, which is the big man, our almost all-star from last year. Between the two of them, it's a big 1-2 punch that we have. If they can coexist for a full 82-game season is yet to be seen, but they're very young. Jalen Green is chasing a contract extension this year, a rookie contract extension that several of his peers, I believe 8 of his peers, have already gotten those max deals. And Alperen Şengün is also in the same boat, waiting for that max extension, and both of them are waiting to see where they pan out. They were part of the same draft. So those two fellas are part of our big piece to our young core. Jabari Smith Jr. is a young Chris Bosh who shoots the three really well and can drive in the lane. He stands about 7 foot. He's grown a couple inches since coming to the NBA. He's a big guy, and he's probably arguably our most versatile player defensively and offensively. Coming with his draft was Tari Eason as well. And Tari Eason, who was hurt last year for the majority of the year, is just a dog, man. He is the Trevor Ariza 2.0, and he's got handle, and he's just a little bit more explosive. So take that for what it is. He's a glue piece guy. Anybody would love to have a Tari Eason on their team because the ball just gets to him, and that's the type of player he is. Amen Thompson was the twin that we ended up getting in our draft. Amen Thompson has been a phenomenal ball handler, but he was better as a forward last year for us, playing off the ball. And he is a fantastic defender, ranked in the top 98th percentile in defenders. And that's against everybody, not just rookie players or not just sophomore rookie class. That was against players like LeBron James and Giannis Antetokounmpo and a couple other big name athletes. So both him and Jabari Smith Jr. played in the USA Select USA game with Cooper Flagg, who I had the pleasure of interviewing in May and having that conversation with. But you saw them compete at a very high level and saw that they could do it and be a part of that all-star group eventually. I think those are our two high-end versatile players, Amen Thompson and Jabari Smith Jr. Reed Shepherd is the biggest new guy, right? He's the new core guy. He's a sharpshooter out of college who doesn't miss a three. Came into the G League, was already igniting everything there. Has a high potential, very big on the hands. Reminds me of a very young Chris Paul. If he can get his handle down more and learn from Fred VanVleet, he will do so well in the NBA and continue to grow under this regime of Houston Rockets basketball. And then, of course, our head coach, Ime Udoka, took on this young core and brought in veteran talent like Jeff Green, Dylan Brooks, Fred VanVleet, some other high-profile athletes to come in and kind of round and shape and form the young core. The beautiful thing about this young core is that they will grow and continue to be better and better year after year. But the Rockets having a big 7 is going to be huge for years to come if they can keep them all.
So you feel like what's the expectations this season for the Rockets?
Yeah, I think a lot of realists say the Rockets are a playoff team. I'm gonna go ahead and say it here on your show so you can clip it one day. But I believe they'll be top 4 in the West this year.
You know I do shorts.
The Houston Rockets are absolutely a top 4 team in the West, barring any sort of injury.
So, are you a fan of the rival team, the Dallas Mavericks, or are you a Dallas fan too?
No, I support all Texas teams, but if the Spurs and Mavericks played against the Rockets, I take the Rockets 100 times out of 100 any day of the week. I will bet on the Rockets against any other team. I will put money on the Rockets. I am absolutely a homer. However, when it comes to the Mavericks, I think it's contender or bust for the Mavericks. They'll make some in-season moves to add some depth. They will continue to try to chase the Boston Celtics and other teams in the West to be the best. I think the Wolves and Nuggets are the teams to beat, depending on how Kevin Durant comes back out of his Team USA time. Maybe the Suns, if they can come back with a healthy squad. But the West is stacked with talent. And I am absolutely a Wemby fan. I love what he's doing with his Alienware. I love what he's doing with the freak nature that he's putting on. I love Wemby's brand. And San Antonio, I'm in San Antonio. San Antonio absolutely adores him. So, big fan of Wemby.
Yeah, I believe Texas basketball teams always got them a decade too. The Spurs with Tim Duncan, Parker Ginobili, Olajuwon, and James Harden. They eras. Then you got Dirk. We gonna add Steve Nash in the early 2000s, Michael Finley, and all them. Were you ever a fan of them teams, or was it just always rock?
No, absolutely. I love the Spurs. I was a big fan of Tony, Manu, and Tim Duncan. I covered as I was young, right? I was much younger. So as I got older, I covered them when I was in college as a sports reporter for Lakefront News. I got some media access to go to games and be a part of that whole championship time. As well as big fan of Dirk, right? Dirk, Steve Nash eras, the Michael Finleys of the world, and watch those teams kind of progress and evolve. Fan of when the Claw came to San Antonio and Kawhi Leonard in that transition. Huge on the Yao T-Mac, Ron Artest days, right? That was a team I thought was one of the best that never won it, aside from the Chris Paul, James Harden Rockets. And then of course, what stole my heart in the beginning was the Robinson Olajuwon days when they battled in the paint, the bigs in Houston and San Antonio. Big fans of those early days, but I was a kid at that time, so I was just a big fan at that point. That's where I fell in love with the game.
Okay. Well, glad that you got what you say, Cooper Flag you interviewed.
Yeah. Cooper, really good kid. Him and oh man, the name's escaping me right now, but Liam McNeely. I interviewed both him and Liam McNeely, both high prospects. One's at UConn, and then of course Cooper's at Duke. Met their families, met them at the McDonald's All-American game. Great kids. Absolutely enjoyed spending some time and picking their brains. Cooper, though, is a different animal. He has such a mindset of being one of the best players in the world ever. And it's going to be interesting to see what he does if he keeps growing. He's so tall. And Liam, you don't see it because there's just so many athletes on the court. But he is a freak of nature for his size, and he can shoot the ball really, really well. He'll be a great power forward in the league. He'll be playing at UConn this year. I'll watch a few games for him though. Love their families. Their families are great people.
Okay, that's cool. Moving on from the basketball teams, you went Texas, so I think all the viewers know what that means. Y'all love God favorite football.
That's right.
So, what's your favorite team?
College or pro?
Let's say college.
Texas Longhorns. Longhorns. That's my team.
You think they're gonna be in the top 4 in the season?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're number 1 right now. I don't see them losing a game this year.
I think they go undefeated. Who are your top 4 predictions?
That's a fantastic question. On the spot, I think top 4 will probably be Texas, Alabama at the 4 spot, Tennessee, and man, do I go full SEC? Why not? Let's just say Georgia. I think the top 4 just all come out of the SEC. I mean, they're fantastic programs. They're all elite. That should be the top 4.
I'm just telling people no. They let the Peyton triplet teams get in there. That's some Illuminati conspiracy for real. Texas, Ole Miss, Tennessee. That's a topic. Y'all might have to make a video on that. But yeah, okay, moving on.
I might.
Let's say the pros. Who's your favorite NFL team?
Definitely the Dallas Cowboys. I'm a Cowboys fan through and through. I was an Oilers fan until they moved to Tennessee, and then I became a Cowboys fan in '98.
Okay. You love Warren. No, what is it? Warren Moon and all them.
Warren Moon.
Earl
Yeah,
Campbell.
Warren Moon, Ernest Givens, Eddie George, Frank Wycheck, just the old Oilers. That was my team.
Okay, so what you feel about this new Texas team, top to bottom?
The Texans team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excuse me. I think the Houston Texans are probably the best team in Texas right now as far as NFL goes. I'm a big fan of CJ Proud. I call him CJ Proud because I'm proud to call him an honorary Houston Texan. I think the additions of Joe Mixon and Stephon Diggs are underrated. I think Joe Mixon is a culture setter. He goes to teams and he sets the tone and he sets the heart within the team. A lot of people laugh at that. He's not a captain. It's not about the captain tag. It's about setting the pace. It's about teaching the young guns what to do and about keeping the old guys fire lit. And I think Joe Mixon is just that culture setter. Stephon Diggs has a chip on his shoulder from getting traded. He has something to prove. I think that does wonders, having a 1A, 1B with him and Nico Collins. The offensive weapons are just so elite in Houston. Dalton Schultz and Cade Stover do so much from the tight end position as well that they're just deep. They're deep in the offense. Defensively, you have Will Anderson, who's a young powerhouse. You have Kaimi Fairbairn, who is a special teamer, might be one of the best kickers in the NFL. Jalen Petrie and Derek Stingley Jr. on the outside. And a couple of linebackers who are not really known everywhere, but are just dogs in the middle of the field. The team is just stacked top to bottom. I think you worry about depth on the line. They're not deep offensively and defensive line wise. And the offensive line already is penalty heavy to start the year. So you worry about the trenches for Houston, which is where their Achilles heel is, right? If you could win the trenches against them, you beat them. So they're 2-0. They go up against the 2-0 Vikings this week. It's exciting. And we'll see what happens this week. I fully expect them to be 3-0 next week.
Okay, you think CJ Stroud go win on MVP, or do you feel like he just gonna be like top 5 quarterback by the end of the season?
In my rankings, I had CJ Stroud being a top 5 quarterback. I had him number 5 actually. I do expect a couple quarterbacks who have started off really slow to turn it on. Record-wise, he should probably be in MVP considerations because I have the Texans going 14-3 this year. So I have them being extra fruitful on wins this year.
Who you got them? I ain't trying to put you on the spot. Who you got them losing to?
Oh, that's tough. It depends, right? I have them possibly losing to Dallas in November, so that's an option. They play in Dallas in November. Usually the Cowboys are pretty good at home, but they just lost again big at home, so I can't really say that right now about them. I have a couple of toss-up games against contenders, right? They play the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bengals. There's teams in there that are good. Just kind of depends on the Bills. So some of those are toss-up games for me, and those are win-losses. So 2 out of those 4.
You think Stephon Diggs gonna have a 1,000-yard receiving season, or you think he's gonna be like a good 700-800?
I think Diggs and Collins are locked for 1,000-yard years. I think they'll be clear over. A lot of people thought they'd have 3 1,000-yard receivers. I don't think CJ Proud wants to support 3 1,000-yard receivers. The goal should probably be getting Tank Dell, Dalton Schultz, and Cade Stover at 1,600 or better. Have a 3,800-yard season. Limit your turnovers. Keep your touchdown ratio high, and then have Joe Mixon and that strong backfield with Cam Akers and Dameon Pierce behind them. Really keep a balanced offense. You shouldn't be too pass heavy this year. That's why you brought in all your big guns.
Okay, Ernest. Yeah, he know his teams for real. I was on his pod. He know about them Texans. Okay, we talk about a lot about the offense side of it, but let's talk about the defense. How the Houston defense you think go do?
Yeah, no. Will Anderson is probably one of the best defenders, young defenders for sure, but one of the best defenders, period. I think he's a top 15 defensive player already. Pick number 3 overall last year, way above his performance value last year. He's already started the year quite hot. He had double sacks in this last game, and he was phenomenal. He pulses that defense. The defense goes as Will Anderson does as well. Danielle Hunter joined the Houston defensive line. Like I said, they're very talented, but they're not deep. Behind them, it's like who? And then on the linebacker core, it starts as like a who, but the players have proven to be quite fruitful. Two double 60 tackle backs that are going to be really pulsating how the defense stops the run this year. And then the secondary with Derek Stingley Jr. and Jalen Petrie and some of the other defenders, just off the top of my head, trying to prove they're elite. And that's not easy to do. So Houston will be leaning a lot on their stars, which is perfectly fine. A lot of teams do that, including the Cowboys. But it's can they keep that up for a whole season? And that's yet to be seen. It's a young team.
Are you scared that the Texans are going to have another? What was that coach's name? What's that coach that ruined the whole team? What was his last name?
Who's that? Who's that?
What's his name? The one Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins. I think he traded DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson. What was his name?
You talking about coach or you talking about player?
The head coach.
Oh, you're talking about D'Amico Ryans?
No, not him. The coach who was there when Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins, and them was there.
Oh, Bill O'Brien?
Yeah.
That guy was garbage, man. Garbage. Hot garbage.
Okay, so.
Although he's doing well in college.
Okay, what about the Cowboys? What's your take on them?
Yeah, man, Dallas Cowboys, they're going to kill you. If you're a fan of the Cowboys, you're going to hate your life this year. It's going to be, really good weeks and there's going to be really bad weeks. And you're going to be carried by Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott's going to be the guy that is, if he's in it to win it, then you're going to be fine. Mike McCarthy and Mike Zimmer have to do a better job coaching. They have to be better prepared. The Cowboys looked like they were a step behind this past week, and that's a coaching issue. I think that they had the right personnel. I don't think they're that less talented than last year. I know they lost 8 starters on the offense and defense. CeeDee Lamb got a giant extension. Dak Prescott got a giant extension. That's your core. Jake Ferguson is an all-pro tight end. The line is very good, but it's not deep either. And defensively, you're leaning on players like DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons and Eric Kendricks to really pulse and be that defense. The secondary is unproven other than Trayvon Diggs, but we all know that Trayvon Diggs lives off of risks. And if he makes those risks and he gets caught like he did this weekend against New Orleans, it's going to be a long day. So I think Dallas is great. I think they do have the best kicker in the NFL when it comes to Brandon Aubrey. I think it's very close for a couple others, but Aubrey is the guy. He's just flawless. So until he starts missing, I don't think there's anybody better right now.
Okay. Well, I know you say you had to go. You got any last words? Anything else you want to get off your chest?
Oh man, so much, TJ. But we got to do this again when we have more time. I know it was a hard time getting all this set up, and finally we got it working. But I just want to tell everybody, you could catch TJ, you can catch myself on our regular shows. We do a pick-em every week. It's called ITL Picks. It's Wednesday nights at 8:30, and it gives you the chance to come hear every game and where we're leaning as a group. And we call ourselves the Sports Scientists on Into the Lab, ITL. But come join us. We're on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, anywhere you can imagine. You can find us on there. And reach out if you ever want to be a part of the show. But TJ, I appreciate it, man. I want to do this more. I enjoy being on your show, man.
Yeah, y'all know I'm going to have Ernest back on. We had a little scheduling issues. So this has been TJ McKinley Podcast, aka Zero Chill. We say what we want, how you want, whatever you want. Like, subscribe, retweet, comment, do what y'all go do. And thank y'all for watching.